Copy.
But we were preparing. While still in the Azov movement, I was the commander of Centuria II Records. We thought there would be a localized escalation in Donbass. It was more about the lack of preparation, particularly for this kind of war act. But we quickly adapted. When we had free time from combat, we trained. It's like in sports. You compete in tournaments and make progress. And one operation, after another, and then another. And so the experience grew. And we already knew how to act, what to do in various combat situations. We were sent to Yasinuvata. It was in the year of 2017. We went in with our team members. The nearest positions to Rusaki were approximately 50 meters away, so there was constant shooting there. Days of fighting. To be honest, we didn't go out to the zero line. But we just ran out, as they say, beyond the trench line, fired RPGs there, and set up a fire school. And there was this one night, we knew their positions exactly. And with the successful work of Utios with the PKM, they completely dismantled their strategic positions, resulting in 6 wounded and 4 killed, if I'm not mistaken. It's no secret that, in fact, Donbass is like a training ground, where they sent their guys to gain combat experience. Indeed. Well, in particular, I think there were definitely many representatives of Wagner who also entered with fake documents. Therefore, regular Russian soldiers, conscripts, were definitely not present there. These were still people who had training. Kraken was an incredibly universal and comprehensive combat test that was designed to evaluate various aspects of military capabilities. At first, we didn't have any particular specialization there. We did everything. Initially, we started with specific tasks, such as catching some spotters, and ending with various assaults on settlements or tasks related to reconnaissance and everything else. Later, we were retrained. We wanted to engage in reconnaissance, and that's what we started doing. We were trained by the Gurkhas using the SAS system, which is British, and also the Green Berets as well. It is in fact essentially universal and suitable for everything. The task of Kiev's reconnaissance is to carefully observe, to meticulously search, to find trails, to locate equipment, to identify any hostile individuals, ambushes, and raids. Well, I'll say this, Kharkiv, that was an unexpectedly intense and memorable combat battle which took place in the region of Kharkiv, placed in the strategically focused. We went there in a frenzied convoy of pickups, about 70 pickups, and ahead of us was a captured tiger. He worked on the dugouts in the Grove area. Later on, more guys arrived in pickups and finished off those who were still alive. So we landed and realized that we were kind of alone. But why did we come? To be honest, we actually, indeed, honestly came to fight. We decided to clear out all this filth, so we took action and went to clean up. That's where we met. The guys had already advanced down one of the streets. While we were walking, we didn't find anyone. Then we were told to go to the other side of the village to try to take up a defensive position, and we went. My platoon, the ones you saw captured, was there, and naked in his underwear in the trunk. My platoon captured him, and these were just regular Denners, without armor, without helmets. In short, they were left there to sit at the checkpoint, that's all. And after that we searched them, meaning their documents and everything. We took them captive and interrogated them about who they were and where the others might be. The rest were found in the house next door, 18 people in the basement. Yeah, a couple went in. Our guys too, from the process. Well, and with a burst of automatic fire there, as they say, with a gift. And after that, as they say, we took the edge of the village. So we were definitely told to be there. Well, again, since we had collaboration and coordination honed back with Centuria, yes, we always worked in pairs and we had a working team. We spread out, realizing that we would most likely need to meet them. So we took advantageous positions, both hidden and semi-hidden. Though we were told that some kind of vehicle would be coming, maybe ours, maybe not. We thought, well, we have communication, but then the communication was lost because the radios died. So we were just sitting there and then we heard some rumbling of tracked vehicles. We looked and saw a vehicle coming. There was a road that went up like this with a height and then a descent to where we were holding this elevation. There were about 20 of us left in his bunker, 5 of us scouts and another unit.
One of the MTLVs was operational. We all jumped on it, 20 people, and started to drive away. We drove through the village of Kharkiv and suddenly, unexpectedly, ran into a surprising ambush.
And it keeps going. Unfortunately, at that time, we were not yet highly trained professionals, and we didn't have observation devices and tools. Unfortunately, we have already realized the need for even a basic pair of binoculars. And we only uncovered ourselves when there were probably about 70 meters left. We saw a truck coming loaded with probably another 15 people on top. We couldn't make out who they were yet. Well, not anymore. They were approximately about 70 meters away. They were already starting to climb up from the descent. And we had this one single guy lying near a small short fir tree. And the fir tree was as short as your spotlight. And SRPK, he shouts at them, "It's a bunch of faggots," he says, "airborne troops." And that's it. Well, you know, it just ignited something inside.
Most likely they were not just regular airborne troops, but some kind of special unit, because they worked very well, openly, and started shooting at us. Well, not like us. Well, they worked cohesively. As soon as the clash started, the firefight, my arm was shot off immediate. And what about the others? Were they all shot?
I was still a guy with the RPG operators. We pulled our RPGs, but since we had to do it quickly, we didn't do it accurately. It hit under their track, exploded, and shrapnel hit some of them while they were moving. The guys dismantled them like that. Roughly speaking, we made a bottleneck and we dismantled them like that. You could say they didn't make it. There was also one character there. He was sitting with a grenade launcher and it hit his grenade. Well, the grenade launcher, and it tore off his arm like this, and he flew out with a somersault from it. So basically it was a real meat grinder. And as it turned out, these weren't just any guys. Well, in total we took down 20 people. 15 of them were airborne troops. And, well, specifically paratroopers. I don't remember exactly from where. And 5 were from the special forces. We definitely headed to Kherson. In Kherson it was more of a march of steel columns. It was somewhat of a liberation, in a way you could say. They simply went through and defended the abandoned villages that were completely left behind. And after that, we were suddenly transferred to Bakhmut, a city known for its strategic importance. And there, in that challenging environment, we finally stepped into our long-awaited and crucial role. We met them in Kharkiv, at the nursery, in the corridors, and in various other locations. There were no convicts there, only Russian troops, soldiers, and military personnel. Regular, and they were reinforced either by GRU operatives or VOG specialists. Just like that, so they could operate in groups, as they say. In fact, no, but they had more control over the Russian soldiers there. And they themselves, indeed, as I said, somehow operated some kind of firepower. Basically, the same thing is happening in Bakhmut only. Now they have an enormous human resource. They can easily spend 50 of their convicts for every one of ours. There was a moment when we were just starting to scout all of the details and everything at that time. The first place we went to was the 5-story buildings. Those who have been in Bakhmut know what this place is. That industrial area over there, in that industrial area, which was located behind the well-known champagne factory and the large furniture plant, had a total of 3 5-story buildings, but of course nothing is left of them now. At the time when we were brought there, they also brought in people for sabotage and snipers to help hold the defense. The first thing I did was activate aerial reconnaissance to get a view of the situation from above and see what was happening. Again, to identify firing points, understand how they move and where they come from, apart from the data we received from our allies. Next, a group for medical evacuation operations and additional fire support operations was created. I also definitely plan all of this myself in my platoon because it's absolutely better to rely on our own strength. I trust my guys, so I always make a reserve, and they were ready. They were also in the industrial zone, and I also created a group that worked both during the day and at night. And accordingly, I also assembled a DRG group from different units using the SAS system, but I won't say which ones are. That's it. And we moved to Seriag in the year 2021, and we joined other groups and settled there. I gathered this amount of resources and supplies so that, well, in case there is a group of theirs present there, we are prepared. This way, we have some firepower and can defend ourselves if necessary. It's always better to be safe and ready for any unexpected situations. So, we got there. The first time we were about 200 meters from the houses. We could already see the houses, everything. Well, we were looking through binoculars, observing the movements of the Russians in the windows, but we couldn't fire the RPG there because unfortunately there were bushes, thorns, trees, and the projectile could have just exploded somewhere near us. And it wasn't very convenient to shoot from there unless you did twists, but there were no twists at that moment at all. And so on the first outing, we just, as they say, tested the situation from the front. We realized that it was possible to go in there as well. And then I just sat down, thought about it, and there's the M320, really wonderful and amazing grenade launchers, handheld ones. They're like underbarrel launchers, only American, for the 40mm VOG, and they shoot in an arc. And the next day I took fewer people, I took 5 people. One for observation, one for cover to work with me, and a medic to assist in the operation. We went, took the VOGs, moved to that place, and even advanced a bit further, just a bit more. We scouted and started trying and continued to see if it would work. We started trying and it began to work very well. We hit their windows. First my comrade worked, then I followed, and the final VOG flew into their window, where there was, basically, an ammo stockpile, as I understand it, some kind of warehouse, and the walls just suddenly blew apart like that and people were incredibly thrown out. In short, we were, as they say, pleasantly shocked by what was happening because, well, it goes boom, bang, then boom, boom, exactly such an explosion, and you watch, well, like in a movie, everything flies apart like this, and they are there screaming something is happening to them. And amidst all this, we carried out a sabotage and left unnoticed. Besides that, there was another raid just like it. But this time, 3 people did it. And I walked around just terrorizing them because it worked. We would come, scout them out, and get as close as 100 meters. We watched them running around the floors. They walk around the yard and with their partners adjusted the LNG, so there's a window. Whoever walks. They hit with LNG there, and what saved us was that again we had to think with our heads. and it turned out that there were dilapidated garages, a depression behind them, then bushes, another depression, and thorn bushes. Well, in principle, I think it made it harder to see, blurred the silhouette, plus the weather. It was advantageous for the scout. Rain, fog. So, like I said, we went on, I don't remember which raid it was, but we went there again, They constantly harassed them because it's necessary to maintain active defense and carry out sabotage, essentially to keep biting them constantly. And we went in, started firing, but then suddenly and unexpectedly, a sniper started targeting us. I had just fired a couple of shots from the 320S, and we immediately relocated. At first we thought it was from the roof, from the house, because they also saw movement there, but it flew with a whistle. The trajectory was different. Then it whistled somewhere nearby again. I said that we needed to pull back. We retreated about 50 meters into another dip, and from there I also calculated the distance with an arc. I always have a rough idea of where I'm working. And I also have nettles with me, which are very helpful for calculating distance. We bombarded the yard with overhead fire, terrifying them, but then again, somewhere it started whistling again, whistling nearby. We understood that he probably either couldn't see well or something else saved him. In short, we moved another 100 meters from there, ran to one of the buildings, and there I had taken more than 20 grenades with me, and I had about 13 left. From there, diagonally from the building, I was looking. Diagonally, but the house was visible to me like this, and they bombarded the yard, the windows. So either it was also 300, or they started a commotion there, and we already pulled back from there, worked it out, and left. There was about a kilometer distance between us and the Terracon, and there we could basically relax and walk as usual. And as we were walking, we suddenly heard whistling in front of us again, so we just sped up and hid in the fir trees. We waited it out, thinking maybe they had something in the sky too, as there were always birds. Maybe we thought they were watching with a drone. Well, we understood where they were operating from, specifically, how the Wagner group works with convicts and how they do it all. And it reminded us, as they say, of the hotspots when it was really indeed, yes, such pressure. It's constant. Well, it's a constant rhythm in my opinion. There you really go out and they don't stop. When we went out, those exits, we crawled and everything flew over us. Both the 152 mm artillery, the tank, and the AGS, you could sit and watch the action. It was interesting. It's always noisy, a peculiar echo of war. Depending on the situation, just adapt to different situations. I understood different situations, different moments. We gained this experience back in Kraken. The most important thing is your ability to think and adapt. If you have a brain, you can take on any opponent. They have a very large human resource thanks to the convicts. We came there. A convict was surrendering himself. They asked him several questions about what was happening in detail and why. He said that his family members believe they are still serving time, but they are taken, and they are not taken into consideration there as they are not permitted to go back because of the grenade rounds from the same Kadyrovites and others, including Wagner Group. They have no choice but continue moving forward. However, they're still unwelcome here either way, so as people say, embarking upon their final journey isn't something feared by these individuals who admitted using drugs which indeed even provided to them. They give them screw, which means they boil it, then inject it, and already high, they go forward with a sense of deep, utter, and complete hopelessness. We asked them, there are many of you, we don't want to go, so rebel, you have weapons, He says we rebelled. I say, so what? He says, they lined us up, stripped us, and completely humiliated us. They were forced, in short, to hold on to each other's male dignity, which is considered unacceptable by people who have served time in places of imprisonment. Accordingly, that's all. But he is deprived. All of this is just a piece of meat that has to do its job. They are used as living force. You clashed with them like this at the position. They sent some, and you hold on, defending yourself. The second group is being pressured by sheer numbers, while the main strikes, massed from the flank, are being executed. Some already prepared mercenaries, Wagner group, or some of the Russian armed forces, like some airborne troops or Marines, who accordingly act very tactically. They go well. They conduct a completely different kind of battle than these, because these ones are just pushed forward. You know, like damn, in Game of Thrones, the White Walkers, they just keep moving forward. Even if they get shot in the arm or leg, they can still keep going, because they are under the influence of strong opiates, let's say. Even when it's a mortar, they just keep going in a row. A mortar shell falls, and once more they don't lie down, nothing. They fall to the right, they move to the left, just keep going. If some of them get hit, then they are wounded, they provide assistance, and if they are killed, they also take them away. Some were taken down, and new ones came in the process. One of the cool operations we conducted was a fire raid on a refueling station. I roughly planned it in an hour. Again, to be honest, I hadn't been in that area before. Well, I looked at the map, and around this Bukraveve, the elevations are all more or less the same. Imagine the scene. I improvised a bit, and there were 2 landings leading to this gas station. The gas station was located at an intersection, and I roughly calculated from the left flank. From the corner where the landing breaks, it was about 150 meters to the gas station. You go out there, and it just opens up for you like that. But you can work again in the dug-in positions in the grove. Plus there's a road that also goes up a bit like a height. He divided the 2 groups, taking into account the 4 people assigned with the DSHK. The marksman, the DSHK team, the PKM team, and the medic went to one position, while another guy with an M320 and the RPG operators went with me. We simply distributed the fire points and executed everything in a coordinated manner. It was a well-planned and strategic move, ensuring that each team member knew their role and position. The coordination was crucial for the success of our mission. We arrived at the positions, had approximately an hour to prepare, took about 30-40 minutes to get there, and quickly set up in our positions. We started working in tandem immediately. The PKM from one flank started to lay down fire and identify enemy positions. The marksmen began to engage these positions. The DSHK crew was dismantling their fortifications there. The RPG operators were also hitting the front, targeting the holes from which they were peeking out. Well, with the M320, I don't know. I carried VOG 60S in my backpack, so we threw them in there like crazy, starting from the refueling station and up to the landing. And just like there, well, as we were told, according to the interceptions, the raid was successful. There were both killed and wounded. We worked it out, captured everything clearly. I took only 18 people. We usually have between 20 to 25, mostly. Again, they are physically prepared and trained in fire combat, able to think, and accordingly, they should indeed have principles and concepts such as honor, valor, nobility, the same camaraderie, loyalty, and not just in life. Truly,
Therefore, all qualities are in nature intellectual, physical, moral, and spiritual, in essence in their own right.